matter to God. God is about relationships. Everything else is just details. Who says this? Reverend Dr. Desmond Austin. Yes, this is a principle he lives by. It is etched on the very walls of his heart. And his son, Josiah Austin, is marching to that very same heartbeat, that very same rhythm of servitude. This, in our next episode of Meet the Councilor, we spoke with Josiah Austin. That's right, he's the councillor for Macoya, Trincity. And his slogan was, "Trust in Austin." Well, did they trust Austin? I think they did. This is Meet the Councilor, once again, Josiah Austin.
Trinidad and Tobago, whoa, whoa, my Trinidad and Tobago, keep my heart full of fire that burns so bright, dedicated to everything that's right, keep unity and equality in La Trinity.
Pleasant good day to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 30.
30?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the age of 18. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams and prayers, anticipate that this was the path that, and I want to say this because I know you're a man of God, that this was the path that God would have placed you on at the age of, say, 18?
Nah, never thought. Always love helping people and, you know, that kind of thing, but never thought I'd reach in a representative position as this.
What sparked it? Because let's take it back. So I know you were abroad for a while studying. What was your major then? What was your goal back then in terms of career, your path, and where was the shift that you decided, you know what, I want to do this. I want to enter, as I spoke to another councillor, this battlefield.
Yeah.
Why?
I would safely say that that I think during my college days, I studied politics and policy. Okay. So that would show that I was heading in that path. But even when I was in college, my college mates in the US would always joke and say, "Mr. Politician," and they'd say, "What did you do on the platform?" And, you know, so it's so funny when I actually got into it, they were laughing and saying, "Wow, you said you were going into this." But I think what would have sparked it is just really observing how politics is in Trinidad, my desire to serve in that capacity, and working alongside my good friend Councillor Thomas, who was a councillor before me. I had an idea of what it is to be a councillor, and it was an easy fit, and God just opened that door for me when the time came and I returned to Trinidad. Yeah.
Now, most people would know, for those who don't know, that your father is a well-known individual in Trinidad and Tobago, and I dare say regionally, internationally, Reverend Dr. Desmond Austin. And when you first approached him, or approached your father and mother about, listen, that I want to do this, what was their response?
They were very supportive, because I think I would have mentioned it before, but you know, my father's role, he tends to be more neutral, and he's more a respectable person, so he wouldn't really, you know, be in the forefront. But they are very, very supportive. And my mom, she actually came out and walked with me, and, you know, Dad supported and prayed, and, you know, he knew this was the calling of God on my life. So I think he really went in and support full 100 with me. Yeah.
Do you think that there's this perception, when it comes to service is unto God, once he has, and one thing, you know, Pastor Austin always speaks about is that you need to claim your mountains, whether it be politics, entertainment, etc. So, you know, Great Commission, go out and spread the good news, and what, in every area.
Yeah.
But there are those who have this perception that a pastor's son must automatically be transitioned into being a pastor as well.
Yeah.
How do you respond to probably those questions, given that your role of servitude is very different to the role or the path of your dad?
I think it was a bit stressful at first, especially being the only, not just the only son, but the only child. That was a bit stressful, but he actually explains it the best in that when I was coming in and he announced to the church that I would be going up and that sort of thing, I didn't know he would have done that because that in itself was a bold step, announcing that I was going for screening at first. And he explained it the best I've ever heard in that he explained to the congregation that you are called to serve, but in the capacity in which I am called to serve may not be in that sort of ministry, but I could still influence and show forth my light in this political realm. So it's good.
And would that have been the first time you heard him make that political statement?
Yes.
And did that make it more comfortable?
It made it extremely comfortable.
Yeah.
I understood fully well how God could use me. I knew that this was my calling, but how God could use me to impact lives away from the church setting, but more in a political sense. Yeah.
And I think people have to understand as well that life in itself is ministry.
Exactly.
You know, no matter where you go, who you pass, God will place you in different areas, different situations to bring forth the light. And in terms of politics in particular, there's a lot of darkness that needs God's light. Would you say it's a bit intimidating at times being in a role of service and, you know, your dad and mom looking at you, okay, Josiah, and kind of living up to the expectation, or is it smooth sailing for you?
I think as I transition, one thing Mom always says, she say, boy, sometimes I worry about you in this thing and you don't know how nasty this thing could be. But I understand the need as I grow and I become older and I'm more mature in this position. I understand the need for prayer and continuous prayer and seeking the face of God as we move forward, because it could become strenuous at times. It could become very, very, very evil at times, you know, but and it's such a nasty game at times, you could say, but you just have to be willing to work with people, work with different individuals and just, you know, walk straight, you know, integrity in public offices.
So that being said, would you say that you've drawn even closer to God during this time because of what comes with politics?
Yes, you have no choice and you have to really walk with God. You can't seek Him in and out. You have to walk with Him on a continuous path,
As much as you're willing to divulge, when you say things can get pretty evil or dark, as the case may be, what is something that you've seen that, you know, that really irks you in terms of the political arena, in terms of, you know, just what people have to go through? Yeah,
well, it's not more myself. I've seen it with individuals, close friends of mine. I've seen ways in which they were almost trapped into situations that could be fully exposed, and other things you see recently, a council across the floor and attacks and that sort of thing. So you'd see how drastic things could change,
how people will go
just you know, so just by observation, you know how you have to walk circumspect and that sort of thing. It's
all right. So let's deal with your area in particular now. That would be the Trincity. What's exactly Trincity?
Macoya Trincity.
Macoya Trincity, right? Where's that border? Let the public know. Give them a sort of a bird's eye view of the border.
My district starts from Dillamar, which is on the western side of Trincity Mall, and I go as far as the eastern side of Center of Excellence, but on the southern side of the main road.
Right.
So that's my border, and the northern side of the highway. So northern side of the highway, southern side of the main road, eastern side of Trincity, western side of Trincity Mall, and eastern side of Center of Excellence. Just to give a little scope.
Tell us about those that you represent, the area, the dynamics of this particular area in Trinidad. How do the people are like, their personality? What else, you know? Tell us about the area.
I would say my area is pretty diverse, but it's compact. So in my area, you would find we have more the middle to upper class. The majority is middle to upper class we serve, and you find I think I have a good bunch. Having grown up in Dinsley, Trincity, I would have understood the dynamics of my community, and by extension, I have Macoya, and you know, we are all basically it's the same type of environment. In both parts of my district.
Has this always been a strong area for the PNM, or this?
Well, as time passes, you realize the borders shift. So in the past, we would have had parts of we'd have been more on the western side. We'd have been more westerly of the border, and you find it was a bit of a struggle. But I think more in the past 6 or so years, it's been in a stronghold for the PNM.
What are some of the major concerns you are the sitting councillor right now, and you are again going for another term. From what I understand, it looks pretty good for you again. So what are some of the concerns that were brought to you when you had first started campaigning years ago, and how much of those matters would you have addressed over the years, and what's next in terms of infrastructure? What are the plans you have moving forward?
Right. What I would say is, coming in, a lot of people said don't make promises, and I stayed away from that, actually, making promises. But what I did say, I think, and this is what Councillor Thomas would always say, your drive and your willingness to get it done is what and he would always say you will be a good councillor. And when the door opened in that, the last councillor vacated, and he, the door was open for me to step in, I quickly made a list of things that I wanted to get done, and one of the main things were basically impacting youth through recreation, sport, and through our grounds and facilities and play parks. I can safely say that at the end of the year, we would have completed the upgrade and the upgrade basically of 7 grounds in 3 years, which I think is really good. Even right where we stand here, we have a newly upgraded park in Castleton Greens Park here, and that is one of the 7 that we could safely say. We have a newly lit ground and a pavilion going up in Montague, and Macoya we have a newly upgraded park, and then we have a new park that we are going to build in Dinsley. Nice. And then we have upgrades to Montague grounds, the toilet facilities and the pavilion itself. Nice. We have major upgrades there, and right now as we speak, we have Eddie Hart pavilion is going to be upgraded, and the toilets and the pavilion in itself. So as you look around, I probably even left out 1 or 2. Okay. But as you look around, usually as a council you would have 1 per year. Right. And it's just really, for example, this where we stand here, I would have spoken to Prestige Holdings and they would have assisted, and then Digicel would have assisted in Macoya. So it's really getting it done and going the extra mile and liaising with the private sector where it needs be, and getting it done basically. So that would have been a major thing within this last 3 years.
So it is safe to say, based on what you said, that there's a very large, if I want to say, population of young people in this area, because it seems that a lot of focus is on the youth.
On the youth, yeah.
And I know you're a sports enthusiast. I know you're into football and all of that. Yeah. So I know it's very close to your heart. And how have they responded to the call in terms of what you have put out? Are they receiving it in terms of the sporting? Are they using it effectively? What's happening?
I think some people say you don't have to do all of that. Maybe the old people vote, the young people don't vote. But it's having grown up in the area and being a youth myself, I understand the need for this development, and I think everyone is very appreciative of it. As tomorrow we kickstart the Inter-Avenue Football League, which we once enjoyed years ago in the 90s, where we had Sturgeon and they from Cane Farm playing Castleton and that sort of thing. Now to reintroduce that in our newly upgraded ground in Montague is really an achievement, and we full sponsorship. You have uniforms, prizes, that kind of thing, and you just have to come out and play. And so I think it's a real achievement.
I think that's important because I was making another point, another place about the concept of building bridges, and it has to do with bridging gaps as well. And I think for too long we have sort of forgotten the voice of the youth. So it's like they've been speaking but nobody's hearing, or nobody's listening. And I think that sports in itself has always proven to be a uniting force, bringing people together. And so that's why I'm saying that I'm glad that you're doing this with you, because it's not just about the youth, because at some point they will get older. Exactly. And they are the ones that are going to be now bringing different ideas. So I'm really glad to see that. Have you had any challenges in terms as a constance of getting projects done, or are people still concerned about certain things? What would you say heading into December 2nd, 2019?
Well, I would say it's just about coordination. I think one of the main things, a lot of people say funding, but as I said before, when you're struggling to get it done, you have to engage, and it's your willingness to go the extra mile to do so. So I wouldn't particularly say I had issues where that is concerned, I think the coordination between agencies, basically for the upkeep of the community, you find yourself having to come out and make sure that your corporation is in coordination with CPEP and other agencies to actually get the cleanup and the maintenance of the community.
But you seem to have a good relationship with corporate body from what I'm gathering.
Right, yeah. So I think that was a bit of a struggle, but I think we on track, and as I move on, I'd really coming in, I would see other councils say, we weren't able to get it done in 3 years, and we would need some extra time to, it's just an introduction stage, and then now you're moving on, and I could safely say that is true. Coming in 3 years wasn't enough, because as you asked before, what other plans we have for the community, I could safely say, for example, on the Montague grounds, we want to do a walking path, and we have engaged other agencies to assist where that is concerned, also a play park on the Montague ground. So these are things that we have planned that could not have been done in the 3 years, and we could safely say that within the next 3 years or so they will be completed, as we've got so much done so far, and we expect more to come. So you'll always be moving gradually, and the time is always necessary.
What is your relationship with other councillors from, let's say, the UNC, other parties? Because I know when it had the major flooding recently, and we spoke on the phone on the program, you were working with the UNC council and coming together. Do you have a good relationship with them? Because I always say, despite whatever side defense you're on, we're still on one ground. Trinidad and Tobago. It doesn't matter what the barriers are. So what is that like for you?
Yeah, I could safely say I have a good relationship with all of the councillors in our corporation. We have a council that I would probably say it's unique in that we all work together to get the job done, and we don't go out and bad talk. Don't ever think you'll ever hear a UNC councillor go on a platform and bad talk a PNM councillor and the council on the whole. So we've formed that relationship. I think we've moved forward where that is concerned. Yeah.
Now, that being said, there was a recent development with Mr. Pal, to leave his name.
Right, yeah.
Where, he got up, people say it looked very soap opera-ish. I'm going to call it that. He got up and he took his name tag, and you could sense from the video on the UNC side, yes, there was some shock, disappointment, and I guess in some cases even anger. Do you anticipate this move to cause any shift in the foundation of harmony that you all have worked so hard for, or since that happened, there has been an understanding and everyone, still willing to work together to get the job done?
I think fully well. It was a decision on his part. It's not as though we went to him and say make this decision, please, and there was some discord there. I think it was a decision on his part, and everyone is working together, just as we did before. And he made his decision, and he stood for integrity, and he's always been that kind of person to stand up for himself. And he made his own decision, and everyone is just moving as normal. And
what's next for Josiah Austin? And I asked bold face. I was bold face with this one. I asked Maurice the same question. That's the councillor for Faizabad West, I think it is. Yeah. There are those who had asked him, you know what, you look like a good candidate for an MP. I mean, we heard the same thing about you. I wouldn't say the area for the sake of, but I know that there are those who've been approaching you about considering being an. Is this something that, even if you don't do it now, is this something that you would consider in the future, stepping up into that area of the battlefield, or you want to hold as a councillor for now?
It's not something particularly that I want to run to. I believe, and having worked in that environment before, I once worked in the parliament, and I understand what is needed as a member of parliament. It's not something to just run into. You have to be ready. You have to be fully equipped for something like that. And I think where education is concerned and maturity is concerned, I will have some time. And again, just as this door opened, if God opens that door for me, I will have to accept. if it's his will. But it's not something I would rush into, and it's not something like you're in this for that, you know. If representation is my calling, and I'm here to serve as a councillor, I eagerly await local government reform, and I'm here to serve in this capacity in local government.
I like how you said that.
Yeah.
And why I've rarely heard anyone like a councillor say openly that you can't wait for the reform. Why? What are some of the changes that you'd like to see, if you don't mind me asking, in terms of the reform?
Yeah, well, basically, just autonomy as a councillor and being able to get more resources at your fingertips, basically. It's kind of tough sometimes where you have to run here and run there and wait on this and wait on that. And some things we would have at our disposal. More so, property tax. I know property tax will have to come in place first, so we'll have more resources to work with. And that is something that if everyone understands how much we could do as compared to how much we can do right now, how much we could do then, they'll really understand how important it is for certain laws to be passed and that sort of thing to introduce fully our local government reform. But it's something I wait for, because as you may not know, we have 1 park, 2 roads and 2 drains as a councillor per year.
Explain that when you say.
So I have an electoral district, basically, and as a councillor, I can only pave 2 roads. I can place 2 roads on as my development project, and 2 drains and 1 park, right? And sometimes it's
in terms of budgetary
allocation. So it's kind of difficult sometimes to actually have to explain, well, I was able to only do this road, and I can't do that road, and it's kind of tough. Whereas with reform, we may be able to do a lot more and that kind of thing. So it will benefit us all as Burgesses.
And that's pertinent information there, because there are those who wonder, well, why this wasn't done and why that wasn't done. And now you're saying that you're like limited in terms of how much projects.
Yes.
So basically, a lot of those parks that you would have done would have been because of corporate.
Right, and then going the extra mile to get yeah.
As a Christian, we're a little deeper with that when we start with the beginning of our interview. I know some people, they're afraid as believers to enter these arenas, making statements, of course, the attacks that they may get, spiritual and otherwise. You mentioned your awareness and your understanding, the drawing closer to God. But have you at any point in time say, I'm done, it's too much, the walk, the attacks, given who your father is, and sometimes what can come, as they say, with the anointing, quote unquote. Have you ever said, listen, I'm going to bow out, or you are, as we say, going with God?
I would definitely say I'm going with God. I think God has brought me here, and He has spared me from a lot. I've been able to maintain a good working relationship with most of the people I interface with. I think after looking at certain situations others would have interfaced, I think God has really kept me, and He has spared me from a lot, and He's really guiding me as I move forward. I've even seen other believers question me on how is this political life, and they have actually been considering entering, and I think God has used me in that vein also to actually share some light on how, as a believer, you can impact in the political realm.
Good afternoon, sir. What's your name, please?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Ivan Mitchell. I'm the fruits guy located at Anturium Avenue in Macoya Gardens, over serving the people.
I feel they just are next councillor for somewhere. Well spoken, young man. I really appreciate that, and thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time. So we met with Josiah Austin. As you know, he is the councillor for the Macoya Trincity area. Tell us about your relationship with Josiah, and what can you say about this young man?
Okay, well, I've known Josiah approximately for about 4 years. I've known him from the Eddie Hart Football League, and in terms of being in Eddie Hart and running and jogging and exercising and stuff, that's the first time I really had that one-on-one with him. And then I know him from basically a councillor from coming in here. And last year he came and he told us he wanted to start an initiative. He wanted to do a Christmas party for the children and stuff like that, light up the trees, bring everybody together, at a certain time and, you know, put the lights on and stuff. So it has impacted good. The turnout was really, really way more than expected that everybody had. And it really, really benefited everybody from all the new stuff that we get. More people start coming to the park now, so more people will come for business as well. Yeah. You understand? Yeah, so he has a vision. So I think it's just a little bit of patience and basically sticking with him and talking with him.
You know, the man with a vision he always sees the prospects of what could happen. And of course, growth can happen once you have a vision. And I'm listening to you, and would you say that the young people like yourself are really receiving what Josiah has been doing?
Yes, we have been really receiving what Josiah has been doing in terms of seeing where he wants to go at. We know it may be a little bit tedious in terms of implementing certain things in timely manners. But you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, because last year we didn't have the seesaw and we didn't have the merry-go-round. And a lot of the younger children coming out now. So next 2 years, who knows, we'll have like a big, maybe a gated park, something really, really better, really nice. So I guess, again, we just have to need patience and stick with him.
You know, I'm listening to you, and the thing is, a lot of young people nowadays, they don't trust politicians.
Yes.
But
yes.
I'm going back to what you initially said about Josiah, that you met him first, you know, by jogging and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So you met the man before you met the
Yes,
politician.
yes.
Do you think that is where he has the edge, that he's putting himself first as to who he is outside of being in politics?
It is partially his personality, you know. He's always the kind of person, you know, he would want to give everybody a listening ear. He would not always want to, like, pass someone and not hear what they have to say. That is that guy. He would always want to give you a listening ear. So partially it is part of his personality, and again, his focus and his vision, where he wants to go and where he wants to take the people in Macoya. So I guess he would need the support, and we would need his support too, so it will go hand in hand.
And man with all the vision, he will surely perish. So again, I really appreciate you. So clearly we know Josiah wouldn't perish, right? But one quick question, he's a good footballer.
He's okay. We could give him a big buy. But he's okay, but you could give him a big buy. He could play.
All right, Jojo, yeah, all right, yeah. Yeah, all right.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Hey, you,
Right?
wonderful
You have a
man.
great day.
Yeah, man. All right, so this young man that we have with us today, Josiah Austin. Trust in Austin. You trust Austin?
Well, so far he has done a lot for Macoya compared to the other councillors that we had before, you know. We hardly saw them unless it's a particular time, you know, but he works, he does his best for us in Macoya.
No, he's a young man, and you would have found over the years certain areas, some people are saying, I want someone older, more experienced, and many people are giving young people a chance now. When he first came into the area, were you a bit skeptical because of his youth, or you willing to give him a chance?
No, I don't base anything on that aspect, because we had elderly, we had middle age, we had all types. So it's a matter of performance for me, you know, and he has proven himself still, you know, and he has done from like our Christmas parties. That was really a nice thing. And then they had the lighting of the tree. Well, I think we needed a little more support in that aspect, but generally...
Where from, in terms of the people?
In terms of, well, I think the lighting, we wanted it like a little brighter, you know, a little more...
Joy, heard that, right? We need more lights.
Right?
Okay, good.
Yeah. And I know sometimes it's tough to really get all what you want, because, you know... But basically, I know he's trying. We see him in the area. It's not like if he's not, he's a ghost. He is here. Right. You know, occasionally he pops in, and if he does pass, he stops to say, well, Wendy, I'm in an area, you know, I'm around. Because we had a community group before, right? And it was more like a crime prevention kind of stuff. And we used to use the park and utilize these things, you know, and we had a good thing going, you know, everything die a slow death. But that was where we had started off, so we were in charge of the park and trying to keep it clean and between the community people to use it, because sometimes people will come from outside and want to use it, so they used to have to ask to use the park. Well, now I don't have any say in that anymore, because that group has diminished. Right. But at the end of the day, that cycle kept on, where we always keep some concern, and you know, where I located, I could see if I have to.
And the thing is, Josiah has a very strong interest in young people. So would you say, in light of what he's been doing through the youths, with the park, has it, number one, not just brought the community together, but would you say crime has reduced because of what he's been doing with the youth?
Well, with crime, we're not really so bad in crime area where we are here, so we have to give God the praise for that. But there are a lot of people come through here because of the industrial estate. So we have people passing that are not off Macoya and have no real concern about Macoya. So it does have the rare occasion where, especially by the track and the river, you will have times where people will...
And that's something that I guess you can look into.
Yeah, you know, but as in the terms of the younger ones, I guess that they have this a little more unity.
Thank you so very much.
You're
It's
welcome.
excellent. All right, Joe, more lights, please.
Councillor Austin has been meeting with stakeholders as it pertains to security in the area and how they can create a shield of comfort for the residents. A project that has been very close to his heart is this preschool, the Judea's Little Gems Preschool, located at Jabira Street, Macoya Gardens. Miss Zinzi Lewis took a passion and birthed purpose in establishing this school, and through Councillor Austin, the corporation continues to support the school in any way they can. With the rebuilding of the park, these gems use it regularly for recreational activities. Additionally, in order to make the roadways safe for the children and the elderly alike, they would be placing speed bumps on the streets very soon. The Phase 3 Macoya area is a major artery connecting the industrial estate and the bus route. Therefore, it has become a major thoroughfare. The work being undertaken here is the restoration of a pavement that was in a very poor condition, and due to the volume of people that use it every day, Councillor Austin saw it as a priority project. Additionally, the elderly will also benefit from it because, according to the councillor, the area has an aging population and their safety is also paramount. In 2016, they trusted in Austin to get it done. And in 2019, he wants to continue getting it done for those who have called on him to serve.
Welcome, Mr. Austin!
To all my supporters, Burgesses, in 2016 you trusted in Austin, and I would like to ask that you continue to trust in Austin. We have delivered and we have a lot more to do. So I ask you to come out on the 2nd of December and continue to give us your support, give me your support, and I look forward to continue working with you. Thank you.